Okay, the next morning, she came and told us that she had had a dream during Friday night. And I'm going to read you a little bit about, what her dream said. This is actually a quote from her report. It said, "In the dream, we were all coming back from the meadow, just like we really had done the night before. It was nighttime and we exhausted, like we really were the night before. My husband and I noticed there was a woman with a male that followed us back from the camp. They came back with us to the base camp, and everyone seemed to know about it and not be bothered. I mentioned that I wasn't sure if the male companion was a male child of the woman, and it really stuck out in the dream. She was the focus, and he was a lot less of a focus, and I couldn't tell if it was an adult or a child. When we went to lay down in our tent in the dream, I think we must have been awakened at night from our sleep. The woman and the male were standing right outside our tent looking down at us. And in between us and inside the tent, the woman and the male, there was a holographic screen of symbols. I feel like they were maybe 6 by 6 or 7 by 7, no more than that, and the symbols were there in the grid. I couldn't tell if they were somehow reading the symbols off to us or if they were projecting them at us, but the woman and the male were looking at the symbols and conferring with each other while we were inside our tent. In the dream, we were both very weirded out by this, but we also knew that everyone at base camp accepted this woman and her companion, and we weren't bothered by it. So newbies, we felt it must be normal for them to be standing outside of our tent doing this. Although we were still creeped out, we just sat there quietly while they did whatever it was they were doing." So she woke up the next morning, and she had a very vivid memory of these symbols. And I'm going to show you these symbols. And it's important because she had no idea what these symbols meant. They were all new to her, and she had no idea of what the significance of the symbols were. And it becomes important because and that's what the symbols look like right there. So what's interesting is it's a traditional spiral, it's a squared off spiral, and then it's a squared off spiral with an eye with illuminating rays off of it. Now, I've got some folks that are really smart into pictographs and petroglyphs looking into this, but throughout cultures, the spiral is known as an indicator of a portal or gateway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She didn't know this. She didn't know that this was an ancient symbol for a portal or gateway. The next symbol that she had was a squared off spiral. What do we have that was squared off that was a portal or a gateway? The cube or the box that we had experienced back in 2017.
Yes.
She had never read my book.
Wow.
And then, of course, the next thing is a spiral, squared off spiral with an eye with rays coming off of it, which, there's the whole bunch of interpretation into that is a eye of an entity or the eye of God with rays of illumination or rays of knowledge coming off of it. So, I'm like, holy smokes, yes, that is very important. That's, you were absolutely right in letting us know about this. So we did some experimentation that day with the God helmet, so.
Hold up with the God helmet. Some argue that the spirals may be represented as the sun or the portal to a spirit world.
Yes.
Man. And with all the things that you have investigated and the research out there on the meadow, man, it correlates with a lot of things that y'all have found.
Right, exactly. And she had no knowledge of the ancient meanings of the portals or the portals, spirals meaning portals and things like that. So it gets even stranger. She was talking about something slinking around at night, following them, watching them as they're moving across the meadow or moving across the ridge line above the meadow. And myself and a pretty well-known film producer were watching it, and we saw a orb follow them just below the trail. Well, the next night when we went out, strangely enough, one of my team members, do you want to take a stab at what he picked up on his ATN thermal sight? Some sort of a creature slinking across the meadow, heading towards that ridge.
So is some type of intelligence speaking to certain individuals on your team via dreams or
Yes,
just mental downloads?
yes, yes. Downloads, and we also did some ST sessions, which were very telling.